Let us begin with this. The law of attraction is not magic. It is not superstition. It is not something you hope will work. It is a law as certain and predictable as gravity, electricity, or mathematics. But because most people do not understand it, they cover their confusion with mysticism. They tell you it's about vibrating higher or feeling good, as if that alone will shift the substance of the universe. And I tell you now, this is why most people stay broke, sick, and stuck while clinging to vision boards and wishful thinking. If you jump from a building, you do not float because you're in a positive mood. You fall because gravity is a law. It doesn't ask how you feel. It doesn't reward optimism. It responds to exact inputs. So does the law of attraction. Your thoughts are not idle decorations in your head. They are forces. Each thought you hold, especially when energized by feeling, is a cause, and every cause has an effect. That's not philosophy. That's physics. The universe does not grant wishes, it responds to causes. This is where people get lost. They confuse the spiritual with the superstitious. They hear law and imagine something soft and optional, like a bedtime prayer. But the word law implies reliability. It means if you learn how it works and apply it correctly, the result is as certain as night following day. It doesn't matter who you are, where you were born, or how many mistakes you've made. The law does not discriminate, but it does demand understanding. Here is the key most coaches refuse to say. You cannot attract something you are not aligned with. Wishing for money while thinking in lack is like planting apple seeds and hoping for oranges. Speaking affirmations while fearing outcomes is like driving with one foot on the gas and the other on the brake. The law doesn't listen to what you say, it responds to what you broadcast. And your dominant thoughts and emotions are broadcasting every second, with or without your permission. Let me give you something practical. If you want to test this law, do not start with affirmations. Start with clarity. Ask yourself, what am I really thinking about this thing I say I want? What emotion rises up when I imagine receiving it? What actions am I taking that prove I believe it's coming? Because if you think one way, feel another, and act like none of it matters, you are not aligned. And the law will reflect that disharmony right back to you in the form of delay, confusion, and lack. So many are waiting for the universe to deliver, but I say the universe already delivered. It delivered according to the thoughts you repeated, the feelings you held, and the choices you made. That is not mystery. That is machinery. The law of attraction is not a genie. It's not a slot machine. It is more like a mirror. It doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you show it. And that brings us to a deeper truth. People are constantly saying, I want more money. I want love. I want freedom. But I say wanting is not enough. It never was. In fact, the very act of wanting usually proves why you don't have it. Because the law of attraction does not respond to what you want, it responds to what you are. Let that pierce your mind. Not what you think you deserve, not what you're dreaming about. What you are, your habitual state, your emotional baseline, your true belief system, the one that speaks when no one is watching. You see, there is a difference between desiring something and being the kind of person to whom that thing belongs. Anyone can desire wealth, but if you still identify as someone who's always struggling, who feels guilt about money, or believes it's for other people, then you are not wealthy in consciousness. And the law will only reflect what you are, never what you pretend to be for 5 minutes in the morning with your eyes closed. The great mistake of this age is confusing imagination with embodiment. People think visualizing success is enough, but the law does not respond to your imagination alone. It responds to who you are when the visualization ends. When you leave the meditation pillow, how do you carry yourself? What choices do you make? Do you act like someone who already has what you asked for? Or do you go back to the same patterns that created your current reality? This is not a game of wishing. It is a science of becoming. If you say you want abundance, but you constantly speak in terms of lack, I can't afford this, I never have enough, money doesn't come to me easily, then your identity is still married to scarcity. And the law, like a perfect mirror, will continue to send you situations that confirm that belief. Let's bring it down to earth. Imagine someone who wants to be healthy but still identifies as a sick person. They say, I want to heal. But deep down, they believe their body is broken, that nothing works for them, that genetics or bad luck controls their fate. So, even when they take action, it's with hesitation, with fear, with doubt. That is not alignment. That is contradiction, and contradiction cancels manifestation. You can only receive what you are willing to become. And that is the secret most people avoid, because becoming requires effort. It requires reprogramming your inner world. It means letting go of your old story, the one that gave you comfort in being the victim, the struggler, the one who tries hard but never wins. You must become the version of yourself who already has what you want, not just in your dreams, but in your decisions, your posture, your language, your expectations. That identity must take root so deeply that anything less than your desire feels unnatural to you. That's when the law takes notice. That's when the shift begins. Because the law of attraction isn't personal, it's mathematical. It reads the frequency of your being, not the language of your lips. And when you finally shift who you are down to your thoughts, feelings, and self-concept, the universe cannot help but rearrange itself in your favor. This is where the illusion of manifesting begins to break down. This might unsettle you, but it must be said, effortless results are real, but they are not free. They are earned. In every field of life, you will find men and women who seem to attract success with ease. They walk into a room and command attention. Opportunities seem to land in their lap. Things just work out for them. But what you do not see is the alignment beneath the surface. What looks effortless is almost always the byproduct of inner discipline, clear decision, and energetic coherence. That ease, it is earned, not granted. Let us destroy the popular myth once and for all. Alignment does not mean laziness. Alignment means you have eliminated the internal war, the silent tension between what you say you want and what you actually do. And when your thoughts, feelings, and actions begin to move in the same direction, then and only then does life appear to flow effortlessly. Most people are not stuck because the law doesn't work. They're stuck because they're scattered. They affirm one thing in the morning, worry by lunch, and contradict themselves by nightfall. They take a step forward with their vision and 2 steps back with their doubt. They act like they're planting seeds, but every few hours they dig them up to see if anything is growing. That is not alignment. That is spiritual sabotage. Let me show you what real alignment looks like. You decide, not just with your words, but with your entire being, that you will live a certain life. You begin to think like the person who already lives it. You speak with conviction, not hope. You act with certainty, not hesitation. You invest your time, money, and attention in things that reinforce your decision. You eliminate distractions. You let go of contradictions. You move as if the outcome is inevitable. Because in truth, once you align fully, it is. This is when effortless begins. Not when you wish for ease, but when your entire system, mental, emotional, physical, is calibrated toward one clear outcome. And suddenly, what once felt hard becomes natural. Discipline becomes desire. Work becomes worship. And the results begin to compound, not because you worked more, but because you worked in harmony with yourself. You want to know why so many people feel exhausted on the path to success? because they're dragging along the weight of indecision. They're trying to succeed while still identifying with failure. They haven't burned the bridge behind them. They're still negotiating with doubt. And so, every action they take is diluted by hesitation. The truly aligned individual feels light, not because the path is easy, but because they are not resisting it. Their energy is not being wasted on second-guessing, pretending, or performing. They have integrated the goal so deeply into their identity that action becomes an extension of who they are. This is the price of effortless, and most aren't willing to pay it. They want the fruit, but not the root. They want the outcome, but not the embodiment. They want to feel the feeling without becoming the person who deserves it. But if you're listening now, you're not here for fantasy, you're here for truth. And the truth is this: once your being is aligned, action becomes easy. But without that alignment, no amount of effort will ever be enough. This is the part most so-called mentors leave out. They teach wishful thinking, but avoid the structure behind real transformation. But you're beginning to see that transformation is less about trying and more about tuning. And the greatest tuner of all is emotion. There is something more powerful than your words, more powerful than your plans, your actions, or even your intellect. And that is emotion. If thought is the blueprint, emotion is the electricity. Without it, the structure exists in theory but has no power. With it, you animate the invisible and call forth what did not yet exist in form. Understand this deeply. The law of attraction does not respond to your voice, it responds to your vibration. And the most potent carrier of your vibration is emotion. This is why people can say affirmations all day and see nothing change. Because while their mouth says, "I am abundant," their emotion says, "I am afraid." While they speak health, they feel fragile. While they speak love, they feel unworthy. The universe does not listen to the words, it listens to the frequency. And your emotion is the truest, rawest signal you broadcast. You cannot fake this. You cannot deceive the law with nice language and fake smiles, because the formless substance from which all things are made is intelligent. It reads your heart, not your hashtags. When you feel something repeatedly, you are impressing it on the invisible substance. You are writing it into the blueprint of your reality. That's why two people with the same education, the same knowledge, the same opportunity can live completely different lives. Because it is not knowledge that magnetizes results. It is emotional congruence, the deep felt alignment between what you believe, what you expect, and what you emotionally hold as truth. Now let me speak to the common mistake. People chase a feeling only when results show up. They say, "I'll feel happy when I get the money. I'll feel confident when they approve of me. I'll feel secure when I know it's working." But the law does not operate like that. It is not reactive. It is reflective, which means you must feel it before you see it. And that is where most people fail, not because they lack talent or resources, but because they never mastered their emotional state. I am not saying you must feel good all the time. I am saying you must learn to generate the feeling you desire, regardless of the conditions around you. That is what we call emotional mastery. And it is the greatest leverage you will ever possess. When you learn to feel wealth before the bank account shows it, to feel love before the partner arrives, to feel health before the diagnosis changes, you begin to bend reality. Not by forcing outcomes, but by embodying the frequency that pulls them toward you. This is not illusion. This is alignment. Emotion is not weakness. Emotion is intelligence. It is data. It is direction. It tells you exactly where your signal is tuned, and therefore exactly what you are attracting. So don't numb it, don't ignore it, don't cover it with fake positivity. Face it. feel it. And then, if it is not serving your vision, transform it, not by suppressing, but by elevating, by choosing a new meaning, a new narrative, a new internal experience that matches the reality you are creating. Because here is the unspoken truth. Emotion is not just your response to reality, it is your instruction to it. And once you understand that, once you accept that the emotion you practice becomes the future you live, you'll stop reacting and start radiating. And that brings us to the final threshold, the part no one wants to face, but the one truth that unlocks all others. Now, let us speak of the hardest truth, the final gatekeeper that separates wishful thinking from true creation, responsibility. This is the point where many falter, where the law of attraction's power either becomes a tool of liberation or a weapon of frustration. Because to harness this law fully, you must claim something few dare to claim: the unshakable, unyielding responsibility for your entire reality. Most people want to blame something or someone else for their current state. The economy is bad. My parents never taught me. My boss is unfair. My past mistakes hold me back. But I tell you this now, with no hesitation, until you accept complete responsibility, the law of attraction will keep reflecting back your current results no matter how much you wish for change. Responsibility is not a burden. It is the source of power. Because when you say, "I am responsible," you shift from victimhood into creatorhood. You no longer wait for permission or favorable conditions. You no longer depend on luck or external rescue. You become the master of your fate. Notice the difference. Victims ask, "Why me?" Creators ask, "What now?" Victims react to circumstances. Creators respond with intention. Victims hope for miracles. Creators make miracles inevitable. This law demands your full participation. It asks not only that you align your thoughts and feelings, but that you own your story, every part of it. Every failure, every success, every belief you have embraced or rejected, because all of it shapes your energetic blueprint. To accept responsibility means you recognize that you cause your current reality, not in a punitive way, but in a factual one. This is liberating, because if you caused it, then you can change it. If you do not take responsibility, you give your power away. You surrender your role as the chief architect of your life to chance, to other people, to fate. And that surrender creates resistance in the system. It creates confusion in your subconscious. It splits your energy, making alignment impossible. And the law, precise and unyielding, reflects that resistance back to you as delay and disappointment. But when you step fully into responsibility, everything changes. You stop waiting for the universe to give you permission. You stop wishing for external conditions to improve. You take the reins and steer your consciousness deliberately toward what you want. This is the final gate. It requires courage. It requires honesty. It requires the humility to say, "I caused this, and I will unmake it if I must." And in that acceptance, you unlock the power to rewrite your identity, recalibrate your emotions, and focus your actions with relentless clarity. So remember this well. The law of attraction is a law, but it is not a magic wand. It demands your active, conscious, and responsible engagement. It is not the universe that withholds what you desire. It is the resistance you refuse to release. Once you embrace responsibility, alignment ceases to be a hope and becomes a reality. Your emotion becomes your magnet. Your identity becomes your foundation. Your actions become your instruments. And then, and only then, do the doors open wide. The results you sought so desperately begin to flow effortlessly, naturally, inevitably. This is the truth most coaches fear to tell you. But now, you know. You have the keys. Use them wisely.